Talking with a client, coaching client, I received a bad evaluation, personality evaluation, performance appraisal. I don't know what to do, and I was kind of scratching my head because I knew that this individual was a high performer. So what kind of gives here? You know what? We're going to get back to that in just a moment. In the meantime, welcome back to another episode of John the PM, where we believe that managing projects is not just a job, but a way of life. All right, so let's get back to that scenario. And a client, gave me a call, said, "Hey, John, I'm really highly concerned. I got this horrible performance appraisal. I thought I was doing an awesome job all this time, and it just seems like, what happened?" And I knew this individual, fairly well. We've worked together, for some period of time. Uh, and so I didn't really think it was quite as bad. And that's one of the advantages of having like a coach is that sometimes they kind of take they're a step removed from the actual situation. So they're not like emotionally involved in it. Now we care, okay? We care, but we're not necessarily emotionally tied into it. So sometimes we can look at things a little bit more objective. So I actually found it hard to believe like it was like the end of the world type thing. Now, it might have felt like the end of the world to her because honestly, throughout her entire life, all she's received were high accolades. So, and sometimes that happens to people. They receive high accolades to get, something less than high, and they're like, oh, the world's coming to an end. Well, at any rate, the individual, shared their, performance appraisal with me. Honestly, I thought it was pretty good. Again, like I said, sometimes people, all they receive a positive and they receive something negative kind of throws them off. And I wasn't trying to like sugarcoat things. It wasn't necessarily bad. In fact, the way I kind of read it was these are things to make you better. So, so food for thought, just food for thought. You receive a performance appraisal and it's less than stellar. Okay. I do understand the emotional drama, trauma about it. I have certainly been there. Okay, so I'm not going to say, oh, but try to drop, try to drop it, and just look at it from this perspective. How can I use this to better myself? How can I use this to better myself? Your boss, supervisor, manager, leader may have actually done you a favor. Perhaps nobody has ever told you that something was remiss. Maybe they've always put a halo effect on you. And now this individual was courageous enough to say, you need to work on this. Fair enough. Here's another scenario situation. Perhaps the job role task has changed. And if you think about it, over the last few years, we've had significant amount of changes in the business environment, no matter how you look at it. We even in our small but mighty team, we've kind of faced that. So sometimes you are hired in to do a particular role, but then the business environment changes and you have to adapt to the new environment. Now, failure to adapt to the new environment does mean that you're not going to have a job, basically, because the environment has changed, the organization has changed. They honestly need you to change as well. And if you're unable to change, you may need to be a free agent and go and find another role in another place, another organization, if it's a large organization, another part of the organization, to where you can only do just what you do. If that occurs, just depart as friends. Don't burn any bridges or anything of that nature. But sometimes the roles do change because the environment has changed. Sometimes where you were just asked to do one particular thing and now you have to do multiple things. Oftentimes, what's happening in that case is that they're just really just trying to stay afloat. They like you, they love you, they want you, all this other kind of thing, but they got to make it work. Again, if that occurs, look at that as an opportunity to expand your horizons. You may even grow to like the new role. About a year ago or so, the government contracting world changed. The environment changed within the business. No big secret on that. One of the things that I asked my team to do, actually, I didn't ask them to do it. We actually did it together. Okay. so we participated together. But we looked at a movie, video, YouTube short. Who Moved My Cheese? Okay. Certainly, if you haven't read the book, I would encourage you to read the book. It's about change. But in this particular case, we just got the video. It's a wonderful story, on that side. But and I want don't want to spoil the story for you, but I will tell you this: that 20, 30 years ago, 25 years ago, my daughter, when she was a young toddler, listened to it and saw the same video with her grandfather who was aged. Okay. They both got it, they both understood it, and they both adapted. 20, 30 years later, my daughter still remembers the video. Okay. And it wasn't that long of a video. So I would just take that as a personal testimony, but go check it out. But it's about change. And sometimes you have to change. So just to kind of wrap this up, let's just assume that you got a bad or less than stellar performance appraisal. Don't necessarily take it as bad. Okay. Now, if they give you a personal improvement plan, otherwise known as a PIP or something of that nature, go through the processes and do it. But look at it from the perspective of improving yourself. Now, I cannot guarantee whether the organization will keep you or release you. Okay, that's up to the organization. That's let them be them and let you be you. But you take an opportunity to grow from it. Because again, they may have actually done you a favor, and you'll be able to take that lesson wherever you go. If it's not a PIP, and it's just recognize that the world has changed, and you have to change with it. And what they may be trying to say is, we want you on board. We see a lot of potential, but in this new world we got, you got to be able to do this. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to make it, and well, we're not going to be able to make it. And we really want you on board with us. Again, just a couple of ways of making a negative, but potentially negative situation into a positive situation. Hey, I hope that you enjoyed that. If you did, hit the like, subscribe, share button. It helps us to be a service back to you. In the meantime, may all of your projects be successful.